What's up, my people? Setting myself up here, man. Setting myself up. Right. Hi. Hello. Instagram. Woo, 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 woo. Instagram live. It's time of the day. 8 p.m. in the UK. Yeah, you know what it's time when you see my channel, man. We're gonna get the +1, innit? Guys, we're gonna get the interviews, innit? We're gonna do some stories, we're gonna do some sharing, we're gonna do some love, we're gonna do some connection, we're gonna do some inspiration, we're gonna do a lot of good things. Hello. Hi. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, man. Always excited with life. Eli's there, man. There we go. Looks like it's gonna happen. Hope the connection's good for us and we can roll, man. We can roll some shit out. Alright, Eli, I'm just gonna jump you straight on. Let's not wait around here, bro. Here we go, connecting. Connecting the dots. Like it. Smooth. Yeah, Eli, man.
Aloha, what's up, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Hey, long time no see. I think it was 3 weeks ago with the UT conference, isn't it? I think that's the last time.
Yeah, first UT conference that I was so gratefully invited to by my man here, and it was a groovy time, man. Groovy time to be around like-minded individuals.
You have no idea how many times I rewatched the beginning bit. It was so funny. You and Brother Sage. Brother Sage was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And then he was like, and you were like, "Bro Sage," and his face was like a little kid going, "Oh!" I just loved it, man. It was so funny.
Yeah, man, because like it was so interesting for me. Because like, first of all, I had no idea like what was going on, but when I hopped on, I'm like, "Holy smokes!" Like, yo, this is like you and Brother Sage were the first two people that I found online talking about urine therapy. And you know, as a 23-year-old kid who grew up eating meat, who grew up with disease, who grew up with so much emotional trauma, to see other people out there doing that was a hint of inspiration. And it was that inspiration that you guys planted that allowed for me to trust myself enough to take that first step and to take that first sip. And so it's quite interesting for me how like it all comes back, and to be able now to have conversations with you guys, like, you know, I'm truly humbled, and it's such an honor to be here with you, man.
Bro, you're one of the crew. I'm so glad you're on this. And do you know how we first met? It was just awesome to me. Like, you gave me a message privately, which I put, by the way, on my tabs now as gratitude. I really like that, man. That message was so awesome. I was like, because I never, you know, you don't know people until you know people, and you don't know what kind of impact. You probably have the same with you. People, you don't realize you're inspiring. So when you came with that message, I thought, that's a really cool dude, man. Like, really sincere. And yeah, I loved it, man. Like, I loved the appreciation, the love. And I could tell you was a warrior from that video message. I was like, okay, I know he's on it, man. His game, I could tell.
Yeah, man, it's been a ride, and you know, one that I'm glad we're dancing in. So it's fun times.
Yeah, bro. Okay, so I think we get the story the first time with what you'd been through with your conditions that you got through childhood, all that diabetes. Did we talk about that the first time? I don't think we did, man.
Yeah, maybe not in detail. I mean, like my mom was diabetic, her father was diabetic. And, you know, the whole thing, because like I talk to a lot of other type 1 diabetics now, and the one thing that always comes up is genetics, right? Everyone's always like, it's genetics. And I'm like, you're right. You know, I called my mom. I remember I called her and I said, Mom, like, you know, do you think this is going to run in the family forever? And she was like, it's genetics. And I said, you're right, Mom. Diabetes is genetics. But it used to ran in the family, but now it ran into me. And because it ran into me, it stops here. And if I'm stopping it, you're going to stop it as well. And she was like, oh, yeah, she's all for that, you know. And so now I got mom supporting. And when I got that energy of the divine feminine, especially with my mother, like nothing can stop us. And so, but yeah, man, like growing up with diabetes, just being afraid to tell people, super nervous about doing shots in public, especially like, there was literally times, and I know a lot of diabetics experience this, when you're out in public with friends and everyone's eating, and you'll eat anyway just so you feel like you fit, so you belong. Yeah. And the problem is you won't go take a shot after that. And if you want to go take the shot, you actually try to hide it. This way no one knows that you're diabetic. And I literally lived that way for 19 years of my life, just being afraid and scared to tell people that I had this condition. And it wasn't until about 7 months ago that I came to really see the beauty of my relationship with self, not even with diabetes, but with self.
Mm.
And, you know, 7 months ago, I got started off with breath work with Devin, the Black Airbender, and he told me to sip my urine for the first time. And I'm like, dude, you're absolutely crazy. I'm never going to do that shit. You know, I'm like, urine's waste. It's trash. Like, don't ever drink it. You know, I was like, I would never do that. And he started talking about some of the benefits and what it's
Mm.
done for his life, as well as, you know, some of his friends. At that time, I don't think he's ever the type 1 diabetic as close as he worked with me. But he said, you know what, you should try it. And Harry, you
Okay.
here? We good?
Yeah, that's
All
my
right.
fault. What happened was I was off data and I should turn the Wi-Fi on instead of using my data pounds. I was stupid enough, so apologize for that. It was at yeah, you was hiding it. You
Yeah. So I was high. Went home.
vendor.
I
That was
went
7 months
home.
ago.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Yeah, 7 months ago, Devin told me to sip my urine for the first time because, okay, now pay close attention to this. I was a diabetic and I paid money to be on a phone call with Devin, and I was
Right.
still afraid to tell him that I was diabetic. I didn't even
Whoa.
tell him on our first call that I was diabetic. This was just
Yeah.
7 months ago, guys. I
Jeez,
didn't
man.
even tell him that I was
Yeah.
diabetic, but I had a porn addiction. I had a
Yeah.
massive porn addiction that was destroying my life. It was destroying my relationship with women. It was destroying
Yeah.
the relationship with my family. My business was
Yeah.
suffering because of it. And my mental clarity was not there.
And your health, bro. Your health. Holy shit. Holy fuck, that fucked it up big
And the
time.
health. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, I shared with Devin on that first call that like I have this addiction and I've watched every motivational video. I've had conversations with a lot of like wealthy people, like money wealthy people. And,
Mm.
you know, I couldn't snap out of this addiction. And he was like, well, if that's the case, you should go and sip your urine. And at this time, I still haven't shared that I was diabetic just because I was
Mm.
afraid. Okay. I was afraid of being judged. And
Mm.
so I went home, started researching online because I was still skeptical as hell, and come across my man Harry and brother Sage. And these two wizards are like, yo, take a bath in it, gargle it, put it up your nose, you know, put it on the skin, rub it in the ears. I'm like, yo, like, these people are really into this stuff, yo. I'm like, you know what? It gave me that sense of comfort, like other people are doing it. So like that helped me kind of take that
Mm.
first step. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And literally that night, I peed in the cup. It was super
Yeah.
yellow. I was super dehydrated. Like, you know, wasn't fasting, wasn't doing anything special. I haven't eaten meat probably in a year and a half since then, or dairy.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I was still having processed foods, you know, processed vegan food, all that bad stuff anyway.
Yeah. Mm.
And I took my first sip, and as soon as I took that sip, I threw up all over the place in the bathroom.
Really?
I
From
literally threw up. Yeah,
mate, threw up from
because
the just fresh urine. Huh?
getting over dude, I was drinking my own pee. Like I had to get over
Right.
the psychological aspect of that.
Oh, okay. So you threw up because of the psychological, not because it was actually detoxing you. It's just
Oh,
the
you know, it
thought of
was
it.
100% because of the thought of it.
Oh
It
wow.
was 100% because of the thought of it. So the first day I literally threw up. The second day I did it again at nighttime. Took another, just a little sip, like it was like a gulp. Threw up the second day, and the crazy part is that after the first day I took that sip, my schedule, my routine used to be I would wake up and my first thought was watch porn because that's how bad the addiction was. That
Right.
used to be
Yeah.
my first thought.
Wow.
And then by
Yeah.
lunchtime, like I would have probably watched it like twice just because like I was in a very negative state at that time in my life, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. But
Yeah.
the second I took a sip of that urine, the next day I woke
Mm.
up and I didn't even have the thought of needing to watch porn. I didn't even have the
Wow.
thought of needing to watch porn. The
And
thought,
you were in control of your
essence,
thoughts. Those
that
thoughts were coming to
frequency,
you. Right. Those thoughts were coming to you. You weren't like trying to consciously do that. It was just for the urine. You're saying,
nope,
mate, that's powerful. The urine
it
made
just
you
happened.
literally
It just
stop.
happened.
Watch. Yeah. Man, that's mad, man. What a reference experience to have. Are people here? It's like you literally were addicted
Yeah,
to porn. You drank urine, and the next day you didn't even have that desire. And by the way, that was a habit you'd built up. So you would have thought you would have maintained that habit unless there had been something cosmically shifting your vibration. I don't know, like pee maybe. And you're like, whoa, that's insane, man.
Yeah, and this is where it got really interesting because on the second and third day, like I was sharing this with the gentleman who referred all this stuff to me, which was Devin, and on the third day, I told him that I'm diabetic on the third day, and he was like, "Why did you not tell me this on the first day?" And I'm like, "Because I wasn't clear enough." But because literally I started to drink my own medicine, the mental clarity like just came. And here for people who want proof, right? On the
Yeah.
third day, first, second, third day, I threw up. But on the third day, I went to go poop, and I actually shit out parasites. I didn't even poop. So there was like little splats in my poop that were like, they were like slightly moving and shit. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And on that third day, I started to reduce my insulin because my diabetes were starting to drop really low. I was having the same diet, same workouts of the day. And I don't really work out like that, like movement and stuff, and a lot of dancing. I love dancing. But yeah, like my sugar started to drop. And so I had to slowly start to take less and less insulin. So 7 months ago, I was taking 36 units of my long-lasting insulin, and I was taking about 40 to 45 units of my short-term insulin a day. As of right now, I'm taking like 15 to 20 units of that short-term insulin, and I'm taking 5 units of my long-lasting insulin. So I'm at the moment taking less insulin than when I was first diagnosed 20 years ago as a type 1 diabetic.
Yeah. That can't be done though, bro, according to medical science. Ha 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 ha. Like, you need to carry on the same amounts and it's too dangerous. Don't drink a pee and all that bullshit. And don't juice fast and don't change your diet and don't give up meat and dairy and don't do all the bad. Don't give up porn, because there's nothing wrong with porn, bro. It's all good, you know?
Right. I mean, these are things that we're taught, and it's so interesting because you know, ever since I was 19 years old, I got introduced to self-help, which is personal development. So, you know, reading all the books about people who are successful and all this stuff on in the mind, and you have to really come to a peaceful state with it. And quite honestly, for me and my personal experience, through breath work, through urine, and through these type of conversations, that's allowed for my mental clarity to come. And now I'm making
Yes. We're
You
back.
back?
Yeah,
We're back. Let's get it.
Yeah. Carry on, man. The mental clarity. Your mental clarity you got from this.
Yeah, it was like that's my thing is like I can't like here I'll give you guys another example. Because for me, like I'm not really a textbook guy. You know, there's some people that are out there that are super into science. I'm more into my own personal experience. And so for me, my mom, who she's went 60 days without pooping. My own
Whoa.
mother has went
Yeah.
60 days without pooping.
Whoa. Yeah.
Her digestive system is completely backed up. She's had heart surgery. She's been a diabetic that has not really taken care of herself for years, okay? 60 days without pooping. And her mental state is just, I pray for her every day, and I love her to death. And I told her to take a sip of her urine, and she was like, why? She's like, why do you want me to do that? I'm like, Mom, you see what it's doing for me. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you to do something that could be bad, right? That would never be my intention. And so she literally took a sip of her urine, and the next day she woke up and she says, son, I've never felt more clear in my life. That was her words.
Yeah.
That's not even mine. That's my own mother telling me that. Okay?
Yeah.
And then she was doing
how much did she take? Just a zip.
She just it was like a gulp or two. So not like a full glass, just like a gulp or two.
Yeah.
And so she did that, and then she started drinking celery juice. And I asked her, I said, Mom, how long has it been since you pooped, like the day that I asked you? This was around Christmas time. And she's like, I haven't went in like 14 days. I said, look, I bought you a freaking brand new juicer. I was like, why are you not using it? let's go to the store. Took her to the store, bought a shit ton of celery juice, and she started juicing celery juice, and she pooped like 4 times that night just from celery
Whoa.
juice.
Yeah.
And she's
Oh,
seen it.
cool.
She's seen over 40 doctors.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm here with
celery
you, brother.
juice, your mum pooping, like, and yeah, man, that's insane. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Just from celery
And
juice?
so here's something crazy for you guys. Harry texted me at 3 o'clock, and he was like, "Yo, you ready to roll?" And I'm like, "I'm on the pooper, bro. Like, I need like 30
Yeah.
seconds." I just finished as a type 1 diabetic, Urine fasting, Urine and
Right.
distilled water only. And during that fast, it was the craziest experience of my life because I suffered so much the first 2 days, and I was ready to quit so many times. But on day 4, and the most best sugar readings I've ever had in my life, and you want to talk about a
What?
balanced diabetic, I was
Yeah.
crushing it. And in that time, I also did my first enema.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
the second I did that, dude, anytime that I drink, because I'm on a liquid fast right now for 120 days, but anytime I consume anything, within 5 minutes, I'm pooping it out. And so like my whole
Nice. Yeah.
system is just cleansing
Clean.
drastically right now. And
Nice.
this is all the health stuff. You guys have to
Mm.
understand, as the health gets clean, the mind is even clearer. And so like I see
Yeah.
time now in a completely different perspective. I see
Mm.
conversation as an exchange of energy, and it's all a big dance. And so I'm like, where do I want to dance at today, baby? Because we going all out.
Yeah, man. I fucking love your energy, bro. It's intense, insane. You're dropping nuggets for people. Holy shit, man. Jesus Christ, you people watching this, man. Like, this is nuggets. I'm learning loads, man. Your energy's contagious. And all these little things you're saying, like constipation, flow, energy, urine, water, fasting, juicing, man. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and do you know what, man? I was really surprised you said, so basically you're saying before 7 months ago, you was like in a bad mental place. That's not that long ago, bro. That's not long at all. I'm
Not at
surprised.
all.
I'm looking at you, can't imagine it. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. So here's the thing that's very interesting about urine, and I know, Harry, you're gonna relate to this. People always say things in life take time, right? It takes time. It takes time. It takes time for this and that. Urine was instant. Urine was instant, right? Even the liquid diet took a little bit of time, okay? And if we look at
Yeah.
things in terms of frequency, the liquid diet took a little bit of time for the results to happen. Urine,
Mm.
for myself and for my mom, as well as the several friends that I have that I'm very close with, the results are instant. And so the
Yeah.
aspect of time doesn't even exist. The only thing that exists is here and now. This present moment is all we have to cherish. And when you
Yeah.
start to work with your own medicine through breath work, through urine therapy, through conversations like this, watch how things in your life start to manifest. Because like I'm attracting shit
Yeah.
right now that I'm like, whoa, I'm like, yo, I was not expecting this, but keep it coming, baby. Keep it coming, baby.
Yeah. That's so true. By the way, so Tugay talked about that recently in the last World Cup. Conference. She said that she was 90 days juicing, and that did a lot of healing for her, but it wasn't quite as good as like 3 or 4 days of juice. The urine combo smashed it, man. So there's a lot of like when we talk about levels, like there's obviously we're not bashing anything here. We're not bashing fruits and vegetables and juicing and all these. They all have their place and their time. But when you talk about urine, and by the way, you're just talking about fresh urine, right? Just to confirm, is that fresh urine you're talking about only? You're talking about the
So
fermented.
this is why I'm saying like my 6 days of my orange fast, I should write a whole book on it just because of the crazy experience that I had. And so my
Yeah.
first 5 months of drinking urine, it was all matured. I never touched my fresh. I only
Nice.
consumed my matured just because the results that I got from the matured were like way, like the state of being was drastically different because my glass jars would sit and like I would put intentions on them every day, right? And I had writings on my jars of love and healing and all this stuff. And so these type of frequencies were just manifesting greater the longer that they sat with each other. And I was particularly working with matured urine anywhere from 2 to 3 months. Like that's just what I was consuming, whether I was sipping it, washing on the face, doing the eye drops, washing it in the hair. So when I went onto my Orin fast, right, and this is like my first time ever doing any of this, guys, but the first 2 days I experienced ketoacidosis as a type 1 diabetic. And I've never in my life had ketoacidosis. It is a very severe state where you are basically about to die if you don't take care of yourself.
Right, I thought it was a bad thing. I was going to ask you. So you nearly fucked yourself over with the first 2 days. Why is that, bro? Why did that come about?
Because of my ego. I was not taking any medicine at all, right? Because my whole intention was to get off the medicine. But then I had actually Tuche told me this. She's the one who shared this with me. She was like, the body naturally makes insulin, so why are you trying to deprive that from yourself? And I was like, damn. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm like, let me snap out of that ego. And then I spoke with Devin, and Devin was like, stop drinking your matured, because where you're at with your state of being right now, he's like, you should loop the fresh. And the second I made those two adjustments, I brought a little bit of insulin back into my life, right? And I started to loop the fresh. And by the way, my fresh was like clearer than coconut water. Okay, my stuff was clean, baby. All right. My sugars, I went from an average reading of like 236 the first 2 days down to a 96, down to a 94, down to a 92, and then I finished off at like a 95 for the last 4 days. Not having any lows and not having any highs, just living my life in a freaking peaceful bliss. And I recently just started working with fresh. I very recently started working with fresh.
That's cool, man. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the aged more than the fresh, but I think there's a place for it, by the way. So that's interesting you said that too. Like, it's not to be discounted because it's got ultimately the medicine from that. Like, say you've got whatever illnesses they're going to call and label us. That's in the fresh, not in the aged, right? Because in that particular moment in time, it's got the medicine for that antibody. So there's a huge thing going on with the fresh that I like, man. The lupin and all that stuff is brilliant. It's good water, man.
Yeah.
Good vibes.
Yeah. Have you ever loop matured?
No, that's the funny thing. I've got a few things we were going to talk about, and you said that you was doing a UT fast with aged urine and loop in it. And I was like, how is that, bro? What do you mean, like drinking? What is it? Amounts of aged urine, drinking it, or do you mean everything? Massaging it into the skin, only aged? Because that's insane. I've heard that's powerful, and I believe it. It makes sense to me. That's really powerful. That's the ultimate in a way. Would that be fair to say?
So I just know where I'm at right now with it. And like, you have to keep in mind, like I did the Orin fast, like maybe 2 weeks ago. So this is all this is all fresh off the plate here. But 2 weeks ago, I did my first Orin fast ever. We went 6 days. And the first 2 days I was only working with matured because the previous 5-6 months, I was only working with matured. And so I was literally drinking a gallon of matured. I was washing it on the skin, doing soak baths and all that. But I actually listened to my body and I got off the matured and I went into the fresh for the looping aspect of it. And when I made that adjustment plus the adjustment of bringing in the insulin, my sugars completely balanced out. And so in March, I'm going to be starting my second Orin fast, and we'll see. We'll listen to the body, but the intention is to go roughly around 10 days. And we're going to do it again with matured, and we're going to see how the body reacts this time, and just really giving my body the space for this pancreas to come back alive. But it's all has to do with the imagination. Like if you can't imagine that, it's never going to happen. It starts with the imagination, and you got to be able to see it and feel it and step into that state of being and then live that right now. Like I'm living as though I'm not that I'm not a diabetic. That's not the intention. But I just love myself enough to accept myself for everything that I am. And through that, the healing happens.
Yeah, I love that, bro. That's so powerful, by the way. And I think there's a lesson here to backtrack a little bit to when you said your ego was like, because I'm a bit like you. I think there's a lot of warriors, girls and guys, not just guys, that like sometimes we take it a little too far because we've been so low. We're like, oh, I've got a motivation. I'm going to go hardcore. And yeah, you're just going to sometimes it's dangerous for us to push it too far to limits because that's how stupid things happen, man. So yeah, you got a lesson there in like, hey, chill. You're cool, man. Don't rush and go hardcore because you might cause yourself harm. And that's a powerful lesson, man, because the next one you're going to be a bit more like, hey, it's all good, man. I'm doing it at my own pace. Don't rush it and shit. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because like I did like probably 4 months ago, I did my first liquid fast. And you guys have to understand, like I've never fasted before in my life. I see my boy James. What's up, James? He says, so what should you start out with doing? Drinking is still too much for me at the moment. Harry, I'm gonna let you take this one because I know you're a goat with those questions.
Okay, where's the question, bro? I can't see. What was the question?
No,
Take the.
it's about the urine, matured versus fresh,
Oh
and if
wait.
you're gonna start off, where would you recommend people start?
Oh man, always start with a fresh. I mean, well, I've already aged urine, but you know, the fresh for people beginners, like pee in your hand and put it on your face. And if you've got any spots, put it on that. And by the way, it goes in through the skin really powerfully. So that's a great way because we've got a bloodstream at infinite levels of everywhere. You pinprick yourself anywhere you're going to bleed. So yeah, just pop it on your skin and watch it glow. Like me and Eli right now, like we got a glowing skin. I can see a reflection of us, and it's the age. But yeah, you just experience the energy systems. One of the first ways I took it was I rubbed a bit on my belly in the boys' toilets, and I was like, whoa, what is this? It's like taking drugs, man. Because I was on tap water, bro, and I went from tap water,
Mm.
yeah, tap water. I wasn't into physical health, so it was in tap water to fresh urine. It was a massive shock. So yeah, people work where they at, man. Like God, if you ask me if I started on age, absolutely not. I didn't know age exists, mate. When I first got in the community, don't know about you, but I didn't know it existed. I was just excited about fresh for ages. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Like I know it's interesting, James, and I would kind of ask yourself, why are you afraid to drink it if you are? And I'm not telling you have to do anything. This is your life. You choose what you want. But I instead would encourage you to look at your fear and ask, why does this exist? Because quite honestly, right? Quite honestly, every single fear that I've created for myself,
Mm.
the greatest thing exists on the other side of it. And I would never
Yeah,
got
that's
to
true.
experience the beauty of that fear
Yep.
if I never would have faced it. Okay? And so
Yeah.
you have to ask yourself, is it the lack of knowledge? Is it the psychological aspect, the training, the 30 plus years of training that you've had of pissing down the toilet versus realizing that you
Yes.
should stop pissing down the toilet and store it? You should ask yourself these questions, because if you don't ask yourself these questions, you're going to continue being stuck where you're at in
Yeah.
life. And
It's
the
true.
whole intention of us even doing this live is not to tell you guys to drink your pee, or not to tell you guys to reverse type 1 diabetes, or not. It's to love yourself. And if you can't
Mm.
love yourself, think of how much distress you're doing to everyone else. And you can only love
Yep.
yourself when you start to really embrace the essence of who you are, which means you have to look at these fears and look them in the face and ask yourself, why does this exist? And then from there, the answers
Exactly.
will come to you, and you'll know exactly what to do.
Bro, and I gotta second everything you've absolutely said. And here's the thing, for James, anyone listening that's on the fence, like, do you really look at me, Eli, and the people watching this, and the YouTubes of people urine therapy? Do you really think that we are actually making ourselves, like, my dad actually believes that? My dad tells me all the time. My dad says to me all the time, you are gonna kill yourself, and you're gonna die way earlier. Your kidney's gonna pack up. I mean, come on, do me and Eli really? Do we really want to self-harm? Do we look like we hate each other? We hate ourselves right now. We're causing self-harm by drinking this substance, because that's what we're saying. Because if everyone believes it's waste and they're on the fence, man, like we should be dead, bro. We should be very severely sick. We should be looking horrible. We shouldn't be full of energy and life and all this stuff. So that is proof alone. And I've always been open-minded, and I appreciate people that are open-minded, because do you know what? If you're not open-minded, and James is, because he's asked the questions and he's here watching. Like, if you're not open-minded, man, you're not going to grow. And I've got to say, the people out there, there's so many people, mate, that aren't open-minded, and that's what we're up against. Someone's open-minded, I can't work with them. If they're listening to this, you got a chance, man. But if you're closed-minded, shut your mind off. You're never going to get to there, because the world is full of so many lies. It's not even urine therapy. It's not even the sun is bad for you. It's not even physical health. There's lies upon lies in every single aspect of the big stuff in life. Even, I think, in that's bullshit, man. We're divine destined beings. We got chakras and all that shit. So that you've got to unprogram yourself slowly. It's not a mad rush, but you've got to have one little thing to get you in. And for me, one little thing was urine therapy, because that was one huge to like discovering loads of other lies. And that's how you start, with small steps.
Yeah, it's the small incremental steps. And of course, being on here is one step towards that. There is nothing greater than action. You cannot change your life just by sitting there listening. You have to
Yep.
take some sort of action that is drastically different, okay? Drastically different than all the actions that you've done to get you, is not going to get you to where you want to go, all right? How you got to where you are is not going to get you where you want to go. The only way to get to where you want to go is by taking literally massive, a drastic change. And I have to tell you, it is the scariest thing you will ever do. Drinking it for the first time was scary. Doing my first real estate deal was scary. But guess what?
Yeah.
Today, man, I'll do any type of real estate deal. Harry today, he knows all the different ways to work with urine therapy. Okay? And think of how much rejection Harry goes through just by being on here. You guys heard his own dad is against the stuff that is drastically helping and improving his consciousness. Okay? And so my point at the end of the day is, ask yourself once again, why are you telling yourself the story that you're telling yourself? Okay? You got to start asking yourself better questions, because if not, man, the state of consciousness that I'm in right now, I don't know how I'm here, but I have a rough idea of how I'm here, but I'm grateful, and we're jamming, man. We're jamming.
I love it, because you've got so much going on, bro. So you was always already a warrior with the, like you said, with the money, and I think financial abundance is really important too. And I'm developing that, and that's a skill. And like you said earlier, it's a thing where you wasn't born like with the skill of closing deals and making money and wanting financial mindset from your limiting beliefs. You've had to grow into that by taking massive action. And by the way, you take massive action, or not even massive action, you take a little bit of action daily, and there's something to be said for consistency in life, man. That includes with health, with urine therapy, with financial abundance, with any healing traumas, man. It's all about consistency. I'm a big believer, man, in a little bit of action every single day is sometimes more powerful than I'll take massive action tomorrow and fuck it for the next 2 weeks, and I'm good in my mind. Nah, because that's how you change. From a little bit of action every day, you rewire the circuitries of your brain. Me and you and lots of people watching this, man. Do you know what? Do you know, if I'm going to geek out of you, Eli, like I've often wondered, like if we had a snapshot of our brain cells, like when we was like at our worst, you know, all the things were necessary. When we was really down low, yeah, you took a snapshot of our brain cells and took a snapshot of our brain cells now, you'd see that shooting at the same angle. Everything is completely transformed in this system, man, and that's what life is. Life gives us the opportunity to transform this brain, because this is where this fucks us up, but this also makes us, man. This fucks us up, but this is what makes us. It empowers us, man. It's all here. You can become anything with this, man. You can do anything with this. It's all there, man.
What you're sharing right now reminds me of, there's a quote in The Alchemist, and it says, before a dream is realized, the soul of the world will test everything that was learned along the way. It does this not because it is evil, but so that we can, in addition to realizing our dreams, master the lessons that we've learned as we move toward that dream, right? In the language of the desert, I don't remember what they call it, but this is the point at which most people give up. Like, you know, they'll start off with a little bit of action, and, you know, they won't see any results or whatever, right? Even though I'm pretty damn certain with specifically to urine therapy and breath work, you'll see results very instantly. But even if you don't, because everyone's course is slightly different, very different, if you give up, you'll never get to experience what life is like on the other side. And so for me, like, there's no giving up at this time. And you guys hear it. You guys watch the Will Smith motivational videos. Everyone says it. They're not saying it because it doesn't work. They're saying it because it does work. And we're just simply on here introducing a new perspective to challenge your mind, because nobody else wants to challenge you. But I promise you, the only creating. And as I
see if he can come back. crap. No. Okay. Gonna have to get him back on, man. Guys, we're gonna have to get that back on. Okay, so bear with me. Jump on the live if you're interested. Yeah, man. Okay, where was we? Like, you was going off, man. You was popping with your thoughts there. I love it.
I don't know, you know, it's I mean, for me, like, and by the way, what I'm sitting here sharing you guys is something that took me 4 years to realize, and it's why do I keep telling myself this bullshit story that I keep telling myself? And that's with anything. Like, you can introduce any new concept for me, and if I don't understand it, my first step is to reach out to that community, get involved, learn about it, and then if I believe it makes sense for me, I'm going to try it. Right? But like so many times, like we're just like, oh no, like that's not going to work. Like we go straight to this way of thinking that is so conventional and so old school versus realizing the inner beauty of the child that we once were, which is we're naturally curious human beings. We're like, oh wow, like that's cool. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like we can't lose that childlike mentality of curiosity, but then being able to be mature enough to make a decision based off the information that we can collect. So yeah, that's like all that I care about, you know?
Bro, I feel like curiosity is massive, man. But this is how we grow. By the way, I think I've gone off, so I'll stop. You see. Adrian knows every morning night. Good on you, man. Deep sea sets, you're on it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, James, put it on your hair when you shower. Don't know if you can hear me whilst I'm talking, but that's a good one. Damn it. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's annoying, man. I should do these on Zoom, but I love the Instagram live so you guys can join live. It just makes it more cool. I can do it on Zooms, but I just don't want to do that. When I put it on my YouTube, I'd rather do the Instagram lives. But then if the connection's going to play up, then we got to be careful, man. Let's try it. Might be my connection. I'm not sure. Yeah, man. So yeah, this has been amazing, man. You know, you touched on curiosity. I feel like a lot of people aren't curious. They seem to know it all, and they've lost this curiosity aspect. And people get triggered so easily out in the matrix, bro. It's like, oh, this is challenging my belief systems of my brain, and anything that challenges my brain is going to upset me and make me feel bad. And like, people don't want to feel bad, man. So people do anything to avoid feeling bad, and that includes cognitive dissonance. They will literally reject the truth about urine therapy, about how you're healing with diabetes type 1, and all this shit, man. They'll reject it because it's easier and more comfortable in their brain with their stupid worldviews. I say stupid, I'd say they're wrong, disempowered worldviews that keep them stuck and not growing. Instead of expanding, they're getting like, smaller. Oh dear. Okay, let's see if it connects back. Not sure if you guys can hear this, but thanks for bearing with us. Try and reconnect, man. Okay, it's cut off again. Oh, man. Man, Jerome, man. How you doing, Jerome? Eli's amazing. This is a fabulous interview with Eli, man. If this doesn't work properly, I know he spoke a little bit. I'm going to do a Zoom with him. Then we can do this properly and get it out, and I'll put it up on my YouTube. I'll share the stories too, little clips, because this is power shit, man. Power shit. I can relate totally to the warrior story here that Eli's presenting. It's just like mine in a way, man. It's all good. Okay, let's see if we can reconnect. Okay. Yeah.
Are you with me,
It's
brother?
working. Yeah, with you, man. So let's ask some questions here, yeah? So you said you was healing your mum. You want to talk a little bit about healing family members? How's that going, man? Like, because you said at Christmas you made your mum, or your mum was willing to try a little bit of urine, and it did a lot of good. So how's that going?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, it's important to express that my relationship with my mom has was destroyed for 20 years of my life. It didn't exist, okay? And the reason that is because I always had a perception. I've always had this ego. I've always had this view that a happy family is the mother, the father, and the son, right? And I was the son. And my father died when I was super young, so I never had a masculine or father figure in my life. And
Mm.
my masculine energy was destroyed as a young age. And I would repel that against my mother, right? My mom was super involved in drugs and
Yeah,
alcohol and a bunch of other negative type things.
yeah.
But anytime she would try to love, right, bring someone.
Mm. Right. Hmm. I'm thinking I need to do a zoom on this, man, guys. Thinking we need to zoom it up, man. Get that stable connection going and present this information fully without interruptions. I'm not even aware if anyone can hear me at this moment. Am I talking to myself? Wouldn't be the first time. Oh man, okay. Right, I'm definitely gonna. You can try and rejoin, but I'm definitely gonna do a zoom it properly without interruptions because it ruins people's flow at the end of the day. I found that whoever's fault, or it's not fault, whoever's connection's weak, mine or yours, it's probably mine. It ruins the flow, and I love flow. I love flow in me. I love watching flow in other people. I love watching other people's interviews. I watched a bit of Jerome's yesterday, and he was getting that aha moment. I was like, "That's cool." Jerome had an aha moment interviewing someone else. I was like, "Yeah, that's what we do the interviews for flow, mastery, learning from each other, inspiration, and aha moments." And that's how we learn. We learn from these connections, man. So I'm definitely going to do Zoom. Going to get back on. Get that set up. Let's try one more time. Let's keep trying this, man. You guys willing? So we'll keep going, man. I'll just reconnect you. Probably my end, the connection. Okay. Right. Oh, this has stopped starting us so much, bro. Like, but this is good. This is a test. It's a test from the universe. Don't want the information out there.
It's a big task, man. But we're doing our job, we're making it through.
Exactly, man. So yeah, you were saying about your mum. You've had a really poor relationship with her for the longest time, man, and demasculized the like you not growing up with a dad. That's demasculized you, and the porn as well. That's probably didn't help either, bro. All the stuff that was going on with your, demasculization, man. That's a huge topic too. Like not feeling empowered into your divine essence as a man would really fuck you up, and it must have made you in a really bad mental state, man. It must have made you depressed. I would have thought really weak, like.
Yeah, it was very depressing. And then there was also like the idea of like my whole sexual energy was destroyed at a young age. And I didn't realize until later on why that was. But what had happened is, even through high school, my mom was in prison. And so I went to prom all 4 years of my high school career, and she wasn't at any of them. And like all my friends, they had both parents there. And this stuff all played in the back of my subconscious mind, you know? And eventually reached a point to where I would be around women, and it was always like hesitant or energy that was very resistant. It was never flow-like energy, and I was never really grounded. And what had happened was, I reached a point where I called my mom and I had a conversation with her probably about 2 years ago. And I kind of forgave herself. I forgave her and I forgave me to an extent of what I knew. And that was after attending a Tony Robbins event. Because, he talked about healing your past and your childhood trauma. But the problem was that I only made one phone call to my mom. I only called her that
Mm.
one time and said that I was sorry. And then I never spoke to her again. I didn't speak to her
Yeah.
until about another year later, which was about 7 months ago. Okay. And I called her
Yeah.
again and I said, Mom, I know I've had this conversation with you, but I want to come back into our lives or see if we can start a new relationship. Because the truth is, Mom, is I don't know anything about you. You know, I don't know anything about you and I just want to learn about you.
Yeah.
And she started
Yeah.
laughing. She was like, aha. She's like, you've known me for 23 years, you know? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
Mom, like, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about you. And I asked her a very important question. I said, how do we end up
Mm.
where we are? That was my opening question to her. And I have permission
Mm.
from her to share this. But on that
Yeah.
first phone call, on that call that I had with her a
Mm.
few months ago, she said, well, son, when I was 18 years old, I was raped for the first time. And at 20 years old, she was almost beat to death with a pistol back in Illinois,
Shit.
because Illinois is where I'm from. And she told
Yeah.
me numerous stories of how she has been sexually, physically,
Mm.
emotionally, and spiritually abused over her lifetime. And as soon as she said that to me, so much relief came. And I said, thank you, Mom. You know, I'm not here to give any
Yeah.
advice. I'm just listening. And
Yeah.
then I asked her about her father. I said, what about your father? And she was
Mm.
like, yeah, he was an alcoholic and he used to beat my mom. And I'm like, thank you. I understand all the
Yeah.
trauma that you guys have had. And I understand why I'm experiencing it now, because it's not even mine. It's theirs that they've
Yeah.
never healed. And it was showing up in
Yeah.
my life because it's my job
Mm.
to heal it. It's my job to come to peace with it. And so
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
only way that I knew how to do that, it wasn't through reading any books or none of that. I just said, Mom, like, I'd like to heal this with you. Is that going to be fine? And she said, I would
Mm.
love that. And I said, well, I think the only way that we can get started is just by talking to each other more. You know, it would be fine if I call you every now and then. And she's like, I would want nothing more. And
Mm.
literally, my mom texted me today. She texted me yesterday. I texted her the day before that. We talk almost every day
Yeah.
now. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
through that conversation, like, we are just both evolving. And who cares what
Yeah.
direction? But we're both
Yeah.
growing and it feels so good. And even if she didn't
Yeah.
accept it, even if she didn't accept any of it, that's fine. Because
Mm.
the point is that I'm creating that space for her. So whenever she
Yeah.
is ready, I don't care when
Mm.
it is, whenever she is ready, the doors will be waiting for her. So that's all it is.
Bro, oh my God, that's so powerful. I can imagine the relief when you're always wondering like why people do what they do to you that you love, and you're thinking, but they're human. Why are they doing this? And then when someone says that, you're like, oh my God, so now it explains everything. They're beautifully fucked up because of what they've been through from their life experiences that other people have projected onto them, which they have never had the opportunity to heal. So they're projecting it onto you, and you get it, and then. Man, whilst you're talking too, I was thinking communication is key, man. It's not even about growth at the time. Like, how do you change people? Communication. You start with communicating with them and letting them know that it's okay. And like improving a relationship with someone, man. Like that's powerful. That's how you improve things with people. Communicate. You just communicate, man.
Yeah, it's very simple, you know, but I think the thing here that is very important is to understand. First of all, you have to be very grounded to talk to a lady that you haven't spoken to in 20 years and to express yourself honestly. You have to be
Yep.
extremely grounded to do that because you're going to go through a lot of bullshit, okay?
Mm.
With your own thinking as well as with their thinking that's going to reciprocate back onto you. And the only way that I
Yeah.
was able to do that, I swear the only way that I was able to do that was through urine and breath work. It was what got me to
Wow.
the state of being able
Yeah.
to open up and to have these conversations and to have people tell me shit in my face and in my ear that could absolutely
Yeah.
destroy you. But I sit there with a
Yep.
smile on my face of love because it's the only thing that I care about. And
Yeah.
when you can do that and you now become the observer of that experience versus being the victim of that experience, you
Yep.
will evolve faster than you've ever evolved in your life. And that is
Yeah.
exactly what happened to me. And now today, it's like the conversation's just getting deeper. And I'm not even thinking
Yeah.
about it. Like they're just flowing to me. It's just like, it's just coming. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I like where this is coming from, you know? Keep it coming, baby.
Yeah. That's so powerful, bro. Like the vibration shifts. I mean, when I started Urine, man, look, when I first started it, I knew, like the first day, I was like, I knew my life would never be the same again. I know that sounds egotistical, but there was a huge part of me saying, Harry, your life is never going to be the same again, bro. At that point, I just quit. By the way, the situation was that I was going back home after failing uni for the second time, my first year, but it didn't matter. My future was in limbo. But because of this medicine and what it did to me, I just knew in my heart, my life is never going to be the same again. It changes you, man, significantly. It really does.
Yeah, something about the natural way always does that. You know, the natural way will
Yeah.
show you exactly what you need to see. That's just my belief. You're welcome to have your own, take it or leave it. But for me, you know, getting into the juicing, getting into the urine, getting into the breath work, getting into silent meditations, right? Getting into conversations like this, it has opened so many doors that I would not have been ready for 7 months ago to a year ago. I would not have been ready. I simply wouldn't. But
Right.
as of today, like I'm ready and I'm receiving and I'm receiving. And the way that we got ready was through doing new experiences, such as the urine, the breath work, the sun gazing, growing out the beard, you know, like how my
Yeah.
man's doing right now.
It's true, man. Yeah. Yeah. You
Rock and
know, as
rolling,
well,
man.
like people think of me quickly that I'm like really extrovert because I do loads of interviews and I'm just natural on camera. But I mean, bro, like you'd know this too. Like if people saw me like hiding the toilets at school, like completely introverted, like super weird around people. I mean, it's a process. What I did was I felt like I had to share my story with people because it was impossible not to share. I was going through such significant shifts from taking action and change that I had to share. And I got used to it over time and it becomes your personality. And then we start talking into what me and you were talking about and people watching this flow, mastery. Things become easy. You can talk to your mum and it's like not a challenge. You have to use the willpower. Now it's just, I'm on it. And then you can start focusing on other things while you're talking to your mum. Like, where can I lead the conversation now in a good way? Like, it's mastery and flow and it comes from practice and dedication. And ultimately, Eli, I feel like it comes from the way the matrix is set up right now. I feel like it comes from being broken by the system. The system has really got to break you. A lot of light workers in our community have come from this place where you just feel like, I came from this. I thought like, my life, Harry, you can sit in your room, be completely weird, and let your life turn out shit, or you can take action and change. I came to a breaking point. I came to a breaking point, bro. I was like, dude, your life is going to be completely shit. You're going to be bad with girls. You're not even bad with girls, Harry. You're going to be bad with guys too. You can't even socialize normally with guys, let alone girls. So I was like, fuck, man. Of course I've got to change. I've got to do something. And that was my kick up the bum that I gave myself. And that's how it starts, man. It all starts from being broken by the system because the system's so beautifully fucked up. It breaks us, man.
It does. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm so grateful for that experience, and I don't even know where the awareness comes from. Just like we don't even know where the breath comes from. But when you can step into the state of gratitude, like you have to understand what I mean by that because everyone's saying that, but it's something that has to be experienced, just like sipping urine. Everyone can talk about it, but it's the experience. And when you can
Yeah.
truly step into the state of gratitude, you know, you'll realize that nothing else matters. Nothing else in the world matters. The rejection, the old bullshit stories that you tell yourself. Okay, the only reason
Yeah.
that you are suffering to these things is because you haven't allowed for yourself to truly step into the state of gratitude. And this is something that I'm still learning. I'm no master of it. I'm no master of it, of any of this. And you know, quite honestly, it reminds me of the story of there was a young yogi who was traveling throughout India and he wanted to study with masters, right? He wanted to
Mm.
learn from masters how to be a great yogi. And he comes across a levitating yogi. So a physical man like how Harry and I are on this call and many people watching, but the levitating yogi, like he knows how to levitate just because that's the
Mm.
frequency that he's manifested. And he asked the young yogi, looks him in the eyes and he says, hey, do you want to go and to a meditation with me? You know, we can do a meditation together. And the young yogi, of course, is like, yeah, you know, I have to. I'd love to do that with you. And so they go into the meditation. And they're into the meditation. And they're about an hour into the meditation. And the levitating yogi, he stops everything. And he looks at the young
Mm.
yogi and he says, you know, you're very good at going into stillness, into silence, because many of us, we meditate to calm the mind, right? To go into the stillness. But then he asks a very important question. He says, but do you love God? And he says, we mistake the technique for the goal every time. And I'm sitting here wondering, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, man, I'm sitting here trying to reverse type 1 diabetes and be one of the first people in the world to publicly do it, right? I'm trying to master my semen retention, right? For whatever reason. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do a liquid fast right now so I can become healthy, X, Y, and Z. All these are techniques. I'm doing a bunch of different techniques. I never truly realized the real goal, and it is love. It is love at its finest. And when you can love, you love everything, the good, the bad, everything. And I realized I was in such a bad state. And this is all within the past 5 months, okay? I've formed new egos within the past 5 months of me feeling that I was better than someone, or I was doing something better, and that, you know, when I would speak to people, I would speak over them versus speaking with them. And I realized that, you know what? When you can, number one, step into the state of true gratitude, okay? And then you can realize the love. When people speak to you, and Harry knows this better than any of us on this call, when it comes to speaking about things like urine therapy and hearing the feedback that you get from it, when you can truly understand gratitude and love and loving God for this extent, because God in essence is everything, you'll realize that everyone is speaking to you because they want to be heard. They want to be heard. They want someone to listen to them. And like I said, this is all through breathwork and urine therapy that's got me to this point. So, yeah.
I love it, man. And the state of being of love. And here's the thing that everyone struggles with, including myself. Like, I've got better over time, but like, man, when we fuck up on diet, when we fuck up on not drinking urine, when we fuck up on, I don't know, not going out in the sun, not grounding, all this stuff, like, we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's how I feel my life has been. People think you're jumping 4 steps and never going backwards. No. I'm always going backwards. And here's the thing. Don't beat yourself up. And I know I'm saying this logically, but I've got better over time, but I'm still imperfect with it. We've got to really learn, man, to, like, everything is technically perfect, because if you rushed through a process, I feel like you wouldn't learn the lessons. You wouldn't be who you are, your beautiful self today, if you rushed through and was perfect. You need to fuck up. You need to do things wrong. You need to make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, because ultimately, trust your mistakes, because you've got the right brain to realize that you're making the mistakes, and you recalibrate. Everyone recalibrates, because you're all beautiful souls here, especially light workers. We're on a mission, man. So that is, when we're light workers on a mission, this is everyone watching this. Like, Jesus, there is no such thing as a mistake, because everything is a lesson to move you on to your higher self. And you learn from your lessons, because if you say that's a genuine mistake, then you're saying you don't trust yourself, and you don't have an idea of what you want to become. Because if you have an idea of what you want to become, you can't go wrong. You might make a little step backwards, but you'll take 2 steps forward. And that's the journey. And do you know what, bro? That's what I love about duality. Because, like, believe me, man, like, it's so boring. Like, if you was one consciousness all the time, like, geez, man, this is a great opportunity here in duality to learn, to, like, to cry, to laugh, to get angry, to make mistakes, to grow. It's actually really glorious what you're talking about, the gratitude and the growth, the opportunity to become a better person, man. Jesus, if people looked at us, like, when we was going through the worst shit, and now, look, be like, how is it possible? Growth, man. You can do it. You take your steps, baby steps. Baby step it, you'll get there. It's time.
Yeah, and I mean, something else that's beautiful is, like, realizing that, like, I just finished a urine fast. The first 2 days, like, I literally almost died. Like, I literally almost died. Okay? And through my whole fasting journey over the past 6 months, I've probably almost died like 5 to 6 times because of low diabetes and not being aware of this thing. And so it's like, everything that is sharing, first of all, is like, it's perspectives in this moment. And so it's not the past or the future. Like, it's just like this moment. And so when you could share these type of perspectives and keep evolving with these perspectives, like, your life is only going to go one direction, and that is the direction that it needs to go for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's so powerful. Let me just ask a few questions that you want to talk about earlier, man. So it was gone about, okay, strength for the powers, finally return to Isaac. So yeah, you said you was making a lot of mistakes for the entirety of your life, and recently you discovered what it is that you've been making a mistake on.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to know what that is,
bro.